funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday, live at 5 on the Evil P Network, Rumble X, YouTube. Check us out, subscribe, type in IE Newswire on Rumble. Or my name, Roy Bleckert. Some of them go different, I don't know. Getting confusing on all these social media platforms and podcasting and all this other stuff. What a hell of a weekend on that. Some of the protests got really wild. People getting hit by cars flying in the air. These kids not going to school. Absolutely 100,000% out of control. Man, hopefully we'll get it back. Some of the governor's polling and some of Trump's polling is very interesting. That has been coming down the pike. Corporal and Canine bust 30 kilos of cocaine in Upland and much, much more in the local scene. But I wanted to, this is the opening thing because everybody was talking about the yo-yos at the Super Bowl and all that. The no-balls game, as we called them. Sergeant William Harvey Carney. That's who the NFL should be spotlighting, and as the post says that we put up an IE Newswire a while ago. Well, we put it up last year at the Super Bowl time. Maybe the NFL should put this up in every locker room. William Harvey Carney, sergeant in the Civil War. The first African-American to receive the Medal of Honor, who despite being shot in the face, shoulders and arms and legs, refused to let the American flag touch the ground. When you see the assault and the kneeling and the anti-American and the race baiting that goes on, this is why I call them the no-ball sports. Without a doubt. This is why I do not watch them. I tried giving them a chance, but after the George Floyd and the kneeling and that, 2 strikes and it was out for me. Haven't watched football game, baseball game, basketball, whatever. Now, I will admit the athleticism of them today is off the charts compared to what it used to be. But if you want more of what you saw at the halftime show and the rhetoric that's been going on, this is what you're going to get. If you don't have the courage to turn off the channel, when anywhere from most polling, say the only in America, low in 3%, 7%, speak Spanish only. That's probably mainly in California, Texas, and Arizona. And when you're seeing a whole halftime show, not only the whole Spanish thing of whoever that guy was, but the sexual exploitation that went on. And hell, I'm no prude, but it shows the degradation of all this stuff, and that's what it's of society, and that's what it's there to do. That's what their goal is. COVID was the last thing. COVID was the main thing that said, hey, the American people are weak. They'll do, if we scratch their itch, we got 98.7% of them. And that was a sad thing that went on Sunday. The most people made the excuses, and I heard people say, well, I kind of boycotted during the George Floyd thing, and they were doing that, but I got reeled back in, and There's no strength, little strength of character left in America. there's certainly not a lot of William Harvey Carneys, who, again, besides being shot in the face, shoulders, arms, and legs, refused to let the American flag touch the ground in the Civil War 150 odd years ago. Maybe we'll get our S together. Maybe we'll start getting a backbone. Maybe we'll turn against this stuff. I don't know. I sure hope so. But you know, if you keep clicking on the TV or watching the no balls games or clicking on the 3x5 screen or clicking on the porn, what Facebook and YouTube got a suit today. You know, there's people are saying, and I think rightfully so, they're not just a platform. When you click on something, if you're clicking on child porn or whatever, they're going to start giving you more of it. 500,000 a day is what the allegation is going in the trial that started here in LA. 500,000 a day of kids being sexually exploited. And we keep allowing it. This doesn't happen on its own. It's we the people. Look in the frickin' mirror. The elections, the people we elect, the society, the absolutely screw you, we're going to shove this down your throat, NFL in their halftime show. But again, most Americans are like, oh, you know, I got to have my football fix. I'm going to watch. We'll see how she all shakes out, but I hope I really hope that we will finally get to the point where the majority of us are like Sergeant William Harvey Carney, who in the American Civil War, who despite being shot in the face, shoulders, arms, and legs, refused to let the American flag hit the ground. That should be posted in every NFL locker room and whatever no balls games you got going, every school, every government agency. That happens, maybe we got a fighting chance. Let's hope so. Let's hope we really get it together. If 2026 is really going to be the year of the badass. Let's hope so. We've sat on our hands, I believe, way too long. And we've just accepted this stuff. COVID being the last one. So you know they got you by the short hairs. When are we going to stand up? I mean, you know, and say, no, enough's enough. It's really ridiculous at times, some of the, well, let's say stupidity we deal with. Another California governor's poll, this one, it's an internal by Eric Swalwell, the spy. So they gerrymandered it to him in second place. So you can figure that part of it is bogus. But it's still, if you take out that this is an Eric Swalwell internal poll, you still got Chad Bianco, number one, Steve Hilton, number two. Swalwell is not at 18% support. Matt Mahan at 5%. He's probably knocking Matt Mahan down. I would say Matt Mahan's probably at about 7 or 8 right now. Swalwell's probably about 10 in reality. But if they stay like this, if the seven dwarfs of the Democrats keep splitting up this vote because they didn't put Betty Yee or Tony Thurmond in, but that's all we need. It's working out as a perfect storm, no matter who they stick up there. The great savior Matt Mahan isn't rescuing them. Swalwell's got to put out phony polls to try and do some fundraising, which is fine. We need to keep him in the race because he's going to split that vote. He's going to carry about 10%. I would say. I'd say plus or minus, but I'd say Swalwell will probably get 10%. Katie Porter's probably got her locked in 12, 14%. The psycho chick vote that isn't going anywhere. Steyer could get in, because most people don't like him. He could get in, but if he spends $100 million on this primary, he's already spent 30. If he spends $100 million, he could get somewhere between 5 and 10%. Baccarat is still in there at 5. Matt Mahan, again, as long as we keep him in that 15 to 16 to 17% rate, okay, it's gonna be Chad and Steve. And what glory days that will be. I can't wait to see the heads explode when that happens, because poll after poll after poll, like I say, just count the Swalwell internal has got him in second. It's like the one Schlavitt put out or something that he had him at 5%. Nobody's ever heard of. 3 people in the entire state have heard of him. But again, if we keep and again, I don't see the Republicans. Some of the ones, we got to coalesce. Carl DeMaio's leading the charge. We got to get behind one candidate. So lose their strategy for one. And again, I don't see. I mean, you've got Chad's support. I see the 40% Republican center right vote is splitting evenly, and I don't see them changing a lot. I mean, it could happen. I mean, barring some revelation or something coming out. But I don't think it hasn't moved. I mean, they keep getting right about the same. They keep splitting pretty much evenly down the line. And I mean, we'll see how it works out, but I don't think. I mean, even though I think Steve Hilton's performance at the debate was absolutely fabulous, he did a hell of a job. Like I say, other than I really wish you wouldn't have criticized Chad about the kneeling thing, but whatever. It's a primary. I get it. You're running your own campaign, but at this point, again, I don't see that 20% look like they're going to support Chad, 20% Steve. And really, like I said, we win this in June. If you're on the center right, you're going to win it in June. If not, it's going to be the Democrats, whether they have 1 or 2 candidates. It doesn't matter. Like I said, Betty Yee against Steve or Chad. Any Democrat. Really, let's boil it down. Any Democrat versus any R is almost a 60-40 vote. 60% for the Democrat, 40% for the Republican. Even if it changes 10 points, they're still 55-45. We got a long way to go. We can out-strategize them, and it's working the perfect storm. We got enough candidates pulling enough vote that there is a decent possibility that Chad Bianco and Steve Hilton could come out 1-2 on the California governor's race, and that will be your choice in November, because we had, Democrats wanted Prop 14, the top 2, and they've built a supermajority in the House or in the Assembly and the Senate, California State. So, not that it hasn't worked bad. I mean, they captured the SD4 seat in 22 using that strategy in a Republican district. So it's worked out for them. It's time we turn the tables on them. Let's try what's worked instead of doing the same old way that's lost. A couple of things about Trump, and you go call panicins or whatever you want. Practically every special election, I think there was one, but practically every special election, no matter what. And the Democrats have won most of them. And by bigger margin. You take the Trump vote in 2024 and they win the districts. Districts that went for Trump 10, 12, 15 points are going 10 points Democratic in state races and all sorts. We saw the Virginia and New Jersey's governor's race, which were, Citrielli lost to the incumbent by 3 points. Mickey the astronaut or whatever beats him by 17. Same with Winnie Sears. Youngkin wins that and she gets totally toasted. And they elected, an out-and-out racist, wishes Republicans were dead guy for AJ and on and on. It's not... Trump, and I said this, Trump needs a talking to. Trump, stay off the foreign, not stay off. Don't immense yourself in foreign affairs, whether it be Israel, Iran, or all this other stuff. Get back to the economy. Get back to making things move. Real wage growth is up. Work on those policies that are going to work that. And investigate what should already be done. Indict what should already be done. We should be in the incarceration phase of all these crooks and thieves from Epstein's and all that, the latest and everything else. Why no indictments? Okay, we released the files. Now what? You should have done that in the beginning, but that's it. Bring back Elon Musk and Doge. Start chopping that federal budget right and left. Cut out. We know now. I don't care to pick sewer cleaning commissioner in Enid, Oklahoma to the United States government budgets, at least, without even trying, a third, are just total, not waste, fraud, and abuse, just flat out, totally FU fraud. They're just stealing from you legally. Here's to get into it. Here's the first poll, running the numbers by Harry Yenton of CNN. But you can't ignore it. Trump gets what, if they get, at the rate they're going, where if they get 30 or 40 House seats and possibly the Senate, which everybody thought was, up until the beginning of this year, thought was totally impossible, they better get back on track. Here's Harry Yenton.
Yeah, okay. So if you know anything about Donald Trump, you know that he built his 2 presidential victories on winning voters without a college degree, while Donald Trump's base with non-college voters is absolutely collapsing. What are we talking about here? Well, why don't we just take a look? Voters without a college degree on Donald Trump. Look at this. Back in 2024, he won those voters over Kamala Harris by 14 points. You come over to this side of the screen. What's his net approval rating with him? He is underwater by 9 points. That's a 23-point switcheroo with his base of
That is not good. That means a wipeout in the midterms. His base was non-college voters. His base, that is his base, that has stuck with him through 3 elections. He added in Hispanics and blacks, mainly males. And that's what was the winning coalition in 2024. But the strongest coalition you had, voters without no college degree, you're 23 points down from when you were elected. That is not good.
College voters. He is absolutely collapsing with the group of voters that helped put him into the White House, Kate.
Okay, so how are these non-college voters feeling about 2026?
Okay, so you see this drop of 23 points, right, from plus 14 Trump to now he's underwater by 9 points. How is that impacting their views on how they're going to vote for Congress? Well, you see a similar story going on here, right? Take a look. In the 2024 election, Republicans won those voters, those non-college voters, by 13 points. Now they're just ahead by just 1, 2, 3, 4 points. When you can count it on one hand, you know that you're in trouble if you're Donald John Trump and the Republican Party, in this case the Republican Party, when it comes to the voters in Congress. And of course, a 4-point lead among non-college voters is not anywhere close to being good enough because Democrats are dominating among voters with a college degree, up by 20 points. At this point, the Democratic base with college voters is rising, and the Republican base with non-college voters is collapsing.
That's all you need to know right there. The kooks, and most people with college degrees I'm putting in the kook category, they went woke, not Democratic. They went stupid woke. And they're gaining strength. They're winning elections. They're getting their people out. They're getting theirs elected. Since November 2024. We have not. And this right here is exactly why. You can't lose your base. And Trump is losing his base. His rock solid 1,432% base.
One of the big promises, circling back to the economy, one of the big promises from President Trump was bringing back manufacturing jobs. And that speaks to somewhat of the split that you're kind of highlighting here. What are the hard numbers on this?
Yeah, okay. One of the reasons why Donald Trump has been able to bring non-college voters into the Republican ranks is because he said, hey, I'm going to bring back those jobs, those manufacturing jobs that were lost to free trade, right? Bring in those tariffs, restrict those jobs from moving overseas. But there's just a bit of a problem going on here. How about those manufacturing jobs? In December of 2025, compared to the beginning of the Donald Trump presidency, the manufacturing jobs have gone adios amigos.
Get rid of the HB1 visas. Get that under control. The other end of this, Trump and the economy.
You know, the economy used to be the wind beneath Donald Trump's presidency wings, and now it's his Titanic. Because what are we talking about here? Well, let's just take a look here. Trump's economic net approval 1 year in. In term one, hey, yeah, plus side of ledger, plus 8 points. It was his best issue, arguably. But now it's one of his worst. Look at that. Way, way down in the basement, 18 points below water. What is that, John? Quickly, some math. What is that, a 26-point switcheroo in the wrong direction? This is the type of number that Democratic midterm dreams are made of and Republican nightmares are also made of.
It's the economy, stupid. James Carville, Bill Clinton, 92, wiped the floor with H.W. Poppy Bush. And it's that way people vote their pocketbook. And they're not feeling it. Even though the crisis is down, even though it's $1.47 for a dozen of eggs at Smart and Final around the corner instead of $12 under Biden and all of that, energy prices are down, and real wage growth is going, it's turning around. Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, better be right. Or this thing will turn. Those numbers will only turn if Bessent's prediction, the economy's going to boom like you ain't never seen in 2026. Because if it doesn't, the midterms are on, and it will be impeach Trump every day of the week. Hearings, holy Christ.
In large, are voters saying it's Trump's fault?
Yeah, this is the key answer, right? Which is why? What is driving these numbers? And it is because the folks believe, the voters believe, it's the Trump administration's fault. Take a look here. Okay, the Trump admin has made the economy worse or better. You go back to January of 2018, term number one. The plurality winner there was better at 40%. Just 22% said worse. Look at this side of the screen. The exact opposite story. What a switcheroo. My goodness gracious. 52%. 52% of Americans say that Trump admin, their policies have made the economy.
There it is. Almost 2-to-1, making it better in Trump 1.0. Now, almost 2-to-1, he's making it worse. He better turn this around. Somebody needs to get in there and say, hey, buddy, you do want to go to jail? If you do, then keep doing what you're doing. If not, get this right here fixed now.
Worse, and look at that, just 28% say better. Even among the GOP, just 57% say they make it better. When you're only getting 57% of the Republican base to agree with the positive position for Donald Trump, you know you are in some massive trouble, which the Trump administration and Trump in particular are on the economy
And just
right
to
now.
remind people,
Rasmussen, Mark Mitchell, 1 year ago, those under 40, 60% were approving of Trump. Now it's down to 30. That was another. Young people switched it around and voted for Trump in numbers they never did before in the first 2 elections. And now they're pissed. For all the reasons. Epstein, you know, the HB1 visas, the whole rigmarole, the economy. As positive or as trending as it looks good in California, maybe we'll start turning the trends a little bit, and we must, because we'll drag the rest of you 49 down with us. We don't. If any look at Texas, if you want to stick your head in the sand, or the rest of the country, they know, and that's been their goal. They know if they can flip Texas, there will never be there will be loon presidents, dictators for the next 100 years. You will see America wiped out, as we know. It'll be gone, kaput, nothing left. So this stuff is critical. Like I say, Trump needs a talking to. He needs to have, I say he needs to have some fireside chats, address the American people straight up, say, hey, this is what we're doing. I've heard you. We're busting people's ass, we're putting them in jail, the crooks and the criminals, we're cutting out the fraud. We're going to be working 24. If he's got to fire Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche and whomever, then fire them. Susie Wiles or who's ever blocking this stuff. Did quit palling with Lindsey Graham, for crying out loud. I know you put on, this is why you see the Super Bowl. You're saying that and the points you're making were great, but you gotta pick her up. It's getting too critical. Too many losses for it.
Okay, Roy. We're about 30 seconds out, everyone. 30 seconds. Yeah, I'm going to put you on so you can hear everything coming in now, Dr. Kelly, okay?
Yeah, it's going to be one heck of a ride. Hopefully we'll get it together. Some positive signs in California, but the national thing needs some straightening up. We'll get to it with Dr. Kelly Victory and more when we come back.
Here we go, 10 seconds.
The best hillbilly hoedown around.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's that funky side guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday, live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire on the aforementioned 80 AM band. Join our vast video audience, Evil Epi Network, Rumble X, YouTube. Check us out, subscribe, type in IE Newswire, Roy Bleckert. You'll see my nice, smiling, shining face on that. Sergeant William Harvey Carney. That's who should be celebrated by the NFL and not. Despite being shot in the face and shoulders and arms, he refused to let the American flag touch the ground. He was the first African American to receive the Medal of Honor in the Civil War. And that's why I don't watch the no balls games and haven't in 5 years or so, because I'm not supporting them, and I believe the vast amount of American people should. California polling list still looks good. It still looks like Chad and Steve, no matter what, are doing 1-2, and these seven dwarfs are splitting the vote. We got a fighting chance come June. We might send a shockwave around the political world. The other thing is we put the polls out there and everything of that. Trump needs a talking to. If you don't see what's happening, when you're losing your base of non-college voters and they're pissed, you better be doing something, son. Or because if the Democrats get 30 or 40 seats in the House and they take over the Senate, I'd hate to be sitting in your shoes, buddy. As much success as you've had this year and stuff, and I'm still on Team Trump, but he needs, I believe, to get it in gear and switch some stuff up, fire some people, light some fires under some others, and get it done. But as we usually do on a Monday, we have, as I've determined her, the supreme physician in all the world, expert on COVID-19 and just about everything else, Dr. Kelly Victory. Welcome to iNewsWire with Roy.
Hey, Roy, am I to interpret from that lead-in that you did not subject your mind and soul to that talentless, vile, whatever it was that was presented by Bad Bunny yesterday?
I have not watched I call them no balls, football, baseball. I have not watched them in 5 years. When they started, I gave them a chance. They came back with the George Floyd stuff and all that. I said, I'm done with you guys. I'm not, and until the American people can pull themselves away from the 3x5 screen and all this crap and indoctrination, we're just going to keep it. America, you're not gonna see no William Harvey Carneys in here who are not gonna let the American flag. In fact, they're gonna stomp and burn it and turn it into a tin-horn dictatorship, Dr. Kelly.
Well, I agree, and I think actually, to be honest, I think the NFL may have pushed it 1 inch too far on this one. There was a lot of backlash. Obviously, Turning Point USA with Kid Rock did an alternative to the halftime show. But more importantly, I've really seen a lot of very articulate blowback on social media today with regard to just how disrespectful the NFL having this and having Bad Bunny, having something all in Spanish, having something where they had the Puerto Rican flag but not the American flag, and on and on and on. Not to say anything of the absolutely horrific lyrics to these songs, whether they're in Spanish or not. The reality is they breached every rule about what can be played on air. I went to the trouble of getting the translation of a couple of the songs into English and posted those. And for all of you out there who are supportive of this, why don't you read the lyrics in English and get back to me on how you feel about it. And I defy anybody to think that was appropriate for the most important or the largest sporting event in American history on an annual basis.
That my point is is when do people hit off and not, this will not happen if you do not watch it. And people are like into
100%.
Into the droves of that. That's why I turned it off. I mean, and I will say it was difficult for 2 or 3 months because I was a very big sports fan of that stuff or that. But after a while, it's like, I didn't miss a beat yesterday not watching any of it. 0, 100%, not letting it affect my life and anything else. In fact, I believe I had a much better day than if I was wound up watching a bunch of people who could not give a rip about me nowhere or the other, Dr. Kelly.
No, I agree, and I do think, we've talked about it quite a few times on the show, but it bears repeating. this constant, really, obsession with social media. It has done, really, if you look at the statistics, people are more disenfranchised, more depressed, more insomniac, really, than they've ever been. Social media, quote unquote, is the complete misnomer. It's anti-social media. It allows people to hide in their basement or on their sofa. You've got, people at dinner tables who don't talk to each other, and it presents such an unrealistic view of life and the world. I have never had a Facebook account ever, what I call fake book, but though I have been for a long time on Twitter, now known as X, for reasons I post a lot of things related to medicine and healthcare and what was happening in the pandemic. I will tell you, it has gotten more and more toxic as the years have gone by. And I think, frankly, it's in everybody's best interest to take a holiday a year, but on a daily basis, a period of time where you put the darn thing.
Did we lose Dr. Kelly?
No. Did you lose me? I'm here.
Yeah, we lost you for a few seconds there. No, I want to pick up on your point of that because I've done that. I mean, I've done that pretty much on the weekends. I try to stay off of it totally. And I mean, I've actually now I leave my phone. If I'm going out to do or I'm working in the shop or something, I leave my phone away. I put it away. I don't take calls. I don't do anything. And I love your point about the antisocial network because the trial started today here in LA of the antisocial FB, the evil FB network and YouTube. And they're saying, and I think the ones suing have a great case of this. They're saying you're not a platform. Your algorithms do that. And it's all about mainly, kids and exploitation, sexual. You talk about the lyrics of what went on. I mean, it's no surprise. What I didn't realize and what came out in their opening argument, 500,000 kids a day are sexually exploited on these I love that term, anti-social media networks. If that doesn't scare the crap out of everybody, that I don't know what will.
Absolutely, and I think that clearly it has a profoundly negative effect on adults, but the effect on children and adolescents cannot be measured. These kids are being subjected to things that they never should see at their ages. Add in AI and the ability to present things that you don't even know what's real and what's not. Kids are absolutely being exploited at record numbers, and social media is the perfect conduit to do it. If I had kids, I would be really vigilant about whether they spent any time at all or had access to it via any of these apps, because it is absolutely toxic, and children are simply not capable of being able to determine what's real, what's not, what's appropriate, what's not. They are far too malleable, far too impressionable, and social media is a disaster for children.
1,000%. This cracked me up, and one thing I am a big Winter Olympics fan. Love that. Favorite is a skeleton, but that just shows where I'm at. But this headline on Fox: Winter Olympics makes history for the first openly transgender skier competing in the women's division. What the hell are they talking about? Women competing in the women's division? This makes history for the first time? No, this is the way it's been since recorded history. We're finally, after trying to make a veer down the stupid path, we're finally realizing there's a difference even in the Olympics between men and women, Dr. Kelly.
Absolutely. I'll tell you, we have got to bring this gender issue to a halt, if nowhere else, certainly when it comes to sports. The idea that we've got transgender people competing against women in any sport, on any platform, I don't care if it's high school, collegiate, professional, Olympics, is insanity. Furthermore, you should, if somebody's actually, it defies logic. Their argument is so ridiculous. If you're actually a woman, then you don't need to say trans. I'm a trans woman, okay? But you'd have to say that. You have to give that caveat because you know it's not true. And all of this transgenderism in the sporting arena is and we're on the fast track to really destroy women's sports. It is so discouraging to young female athletes. So I don't know what's going on in the Olympics. I can't. Are you saying that they're actually allowing a trans person to compete?
Yeah, in the women. Yeah, it's a woman who identifies as a man, but she's competing in the women's sports. I mean, that's happened every time, and that's the way it should be. Why are they saying this is the first of that? No, it isn't. This has been what they've had every time. It's just in the last couple of years we've tried to, upset the apple cart on this stuff, if anything. But I mean, the obvious that's been going on. They're trying to make this even on Fox. They're trying to make this as this is unusual. No, you got a woman competing in a women's skiing sport. What's it? I mean, why are we even talking about it?
Exactly. So because it's tantamount.
I think we lost Dr. Kelly there somewhere. Of that, yeah. But anyway, it's absolutely crazy of what goes on. We're just, how do you get to the point? How do you get to the point of women competing in women's sports in the Olympics is like some sort of big revelation? I don't know.
Okay, I got her back, Roy.
Okay, so yeah, somewhat haywire with that stuff on that, but we're in, the odd part of, or this is how this is how you can get whatever happened at the Super Bowl and halftime and all that other crap. This is my take on it. That's why you see on Fox News a woman competing in the women's ski event at the Olympics is acted like a first time just because he calls himself Steve or something. It's absolutely stupid.
Yeah, exactly, because this person thinks they're a dude and dresses like a dude and, whatever else, unless the only thing that would be pertinent or, germane to me to the discussion is if this person, this biologic female who identifies as a male, has been taking testosterone or male hormones, because that should, by the rules, should eliminate that person from competing, because those are performance-enhancing drugs. If you are a female and you are taking exogenous testosterone because you want to grow facial hair and be more doodly, be more masculine, it also should theoretically eliminate you from being able to compete, because that is absolutely a performance enhancer.
1,000%. Switching gears a little bit, you posted on the X machine cancer rates, and we know because of COVID, and I'm almost certain this is going to continue, cancer rates continue to increase. You put some recommendations up from that for important information for everyone. What would be your recommendations, whether you've taken the shot or not, to help people prevent from getting cancer, Dr. Kelly?
Great question, and you are absolutely correct, Roy. Cancer rates are up across the board, and concerningly, we are seeing far more aggressive cancers and cancers in groups of people in whom we never saw them, meaning lung, breast, prostate, and colon cancers in people in their 20s, 30s, 40s. So this is really new, and it's largely, I believe, related to the shot. But independent of whether you took a vaccine or not, we all are at risk for cancer. There are genetic aspects to it. There are certainly environmental toxins that are out there, and people have had cancer before the mRNA shots were out there. What everyone should be doing is everything they can do to maximize the functioning of their immune system. Your immune system is your first line of defense against cancer. We all have cancer cells right in your body. Everybody does right now. You have abnormal cells, and it is the job of a healthy immune system to recognize those abnormal cells and to wipe them out, gobble them up, take them out, say, oh, that's not normal, and wipe it out before it ever takes hold as a cancer. And so some of the things that you can do that are super simple, in addition to making sure that your vitamin D levels are absolutely peak and where you want them to be, which is somewhere between 80 and 100 nanograms when you get the blood test. you have a good vitamin D level, but simple things like berberine, ashwagandha. These are simple supplements that you can get at a nutrition store. They help maintain your metabolism, control your blood sugar, improve insulin sensitivity, decrease inflammation. Also, medicinal mushrooms that the Asian cultures have been using for millennia. Things like turkey tail and reishi mushrooms, lion's mane mushrooms, very important. Curcumin, which is from the turmeric people will take curcumin as a spice, very important. Olive leaf, oregano oil, black seed oil. There are so many things, and the great thing is, Roy, none of them have a downside. None of them, they can only help you. They improve your immune function. They will help you to fend off cancer. They will also help you fend off influenza and COVID and RSV and lots of other infections because they enhance the functioning of your immune system.
Another thing you posted on X Machine is Nicholas Holscher. There are 13 studies comparing vaccinated versus unvaccinated children. They all found the same thing. Vaccinated children are far sicker with higher risk of cancer, death, autism, and the list goes on. Just like I've said with this and with the kids and everything else about the anti-social media and what's happening in there, this is even more extremely important because if you did get, especially I believe if you got your kid vaccinated, I would, and even if you didn't, I would definitely be on top of this because, man, like you said, cancers are showing up much earlier in a lot of people here a lot lately. And, man, it's better to be forewarned and do some prevention in my book than get that, unnerving call from your doctor, Dr. Kelly.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was losing a lot of what you're saying. We seem to have a lousy connection tonight, Roy.
Yeah.
But I think you were referring to those vax versus unvax studies.
Yes.
And the reality is this: the data don't lie. We now have a bunch, more than a dozen, really excellent studies comparing those completely unvaccinated children to kids who've been vaccinated. And the data are clear. Its rates, not only do they have lower rates of autism, which they do, unvaccinated children fundamentally have zero incidence of autism, but they have lower rates of all kinds of autoimmune illnesses, peanut allergies, asthma, psoriasis, eczema, ADHD, and on and on. And this is data that our government has fundamentally tried to hide from us. They've known about this for many decades, Roy. And we have pockets in this country that are unvaccinated, largely the Amish and certain Mormon communities, where these kids just are as healthy as can be. So we've been led given a line of untruth for many, many decades about vaccines somehow being the panacea, the savior. I certainly was taught in medical school that it was the polio vaccine that ended the scourge of polio, which is simply not true. The polio epidemic and outbreaks of polio had fundamentally fallen to zero before the vaccine was ever rolled out as a result of improved sanitation, clean water, better living conditions, and food refrigeration. But that's not what I was taught in medical school. So we are trying to right now decades and decades of misinformation, and the reality is you are far better off not taking any vaccines in your life than taking any of the ones that have been on the childhood vaccine schedule.
Got a couple minutes left. Anything else our audience should know?
Well, I think, that's really an important one. We're still watching as HHS and Bobby Kennedy try to revamp the food pyramid. I don't know if we talked about it much. While I agree with some of the changes, absolutely, getting away from all of this focus on, carbohydrates, sugary cereals, that sort of thing. I do not agree with the focus on saturated fats. You can't, unfortunately, although I wish it were so, you cannot eat a solid diet of steak and bacon and eggs and expect to be healthy. So I think there's some truths in there and some untruths. Unfortunately, there again, this massive focus on milk, again, largely paid for by the dairy lobby and not based in science. So although we've made some good moves on the sugar side and carbohydrate side, I still think there's a lot of work to be done until we have an honest, healthy food pyramid that is not guided by lobby dollars.
Thanks for being on, Dr. Kelly. We'll do this again soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Roy.
Dr. Kelly Victory saying it as we say only as she can. Man, that's a lot of, absolutely, especially on the diet cancer stuff, and especially whether you've had the vaccine or especially if your kids have had the vaccine. I mean, again, I'm no doctor, give medical advice, but man, there's Dr. Kelly's even saying, and she is a doctor, you better start preparing. That's all I got to say. Because like I say, this dangerous trend that very aggressive cancers are showing up. Dr. Pat Soon-Shawn has been saying it too. He says you can't believe what is showing up. And what they're saying seems to be, if not all roads, a lot of them are leading to COVID and the vaccine and all the crapiola we were fed on that. And again, like with the NFL and the whole thing that was going on yesterday, and they're trying to shove that stuff down your throat. And they can. They know you can't get off your 3x5 screen. They know you're going to watch the NFL. They know you're going to be, they've got you hooked. No matter what you say or what or that, when, Royism 101. Yeah, I listen to what you say. More importantly, I watch what you do. And that's what they're doing. They're listening, they're doing that, but they're more focused on what you actually do. I've said another Royism 101. 98.7% of the people think they're badass. Really only about 1.3% really are. And I think this whole Super Bowl thing and stuff, how many people tuned out? Probably record ratings and all that other stuff going on. It's a semblance of what the heck has been going on. I wanted to flip this up there. This is from 11 years ago, 2015. Riverside Mayor Rusty Bailey and John Russo was city manager, and they're going back and forth with the money. What I'd like to point out about this is I'm looking at that, that come up on my memories thing, and all the comments that were going on. And now you put up stuff locally, and it's like crickets. You got to get back in the ball game. And you got, like I've said, another Royism 101. No matter what the president's doing or what affects your life 98.7% of the time happens right in your local community, whether it's politically, your family, your schools, everything else. So, again, we need to have more of that spirit back in here that tells our local leaders, hey, we're not doing this crap anymore. And sadly, I don't see that, especially in the schools, which is like mind-blowing. That, I don't want to say that parents don't care about their kids, but how could you not want the schools indoctrinating your kids as they are and giving them a crap education and charging and ripping you off to do it? It just seems you would think it would be impossible to do, but we are doing it. We are allowing it to be done. It is us. John Hatami, who ran for LA City Attorney, LA County District Attorney, was asking kind of the same thing, or how this, how could we be exploiting kids and all that other stuff. And I'm saying we need to look in the mirror, because that's where it starts. We the people are allowing this. And it's going to be, if it stops, it's going to be we the people. like William Harvey Carney is not going to let the American flag drop. No matter what, we're on it. If you really, that's the only way we're going to turn all the stuff that everybody's all heartbroken about or pissed off about. It's happening because we're allowing it. And we're the ones, ultimately, they're going to turn this stuff around. Hopefully it's enough in 26 to capture people's attention enough and give them a little bit of backbone and spirit. Just to do what's right. That'll do it for today. As we usually say at this time, mandatory you're back here in 23 hours. Why? We're the best darn show in the whole wide world. Till then, see ya.
The proceeding was a paid.
But Roy, the Bad Bunny show was the most watched halftime show ever.
That doesn't surprise me.
I worry about Jesse and his wife. They said, oh, they loved it. They loved the feeling of it. It's like, wow, okay, all right. I worry about them.
Yes. And I worry about that being the majority opinion.
Yeah. Not sure how they can come up with that, but whatever, Anyway, all right, I will talk. I hope so. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
You got her.
Bye now.